In this video, I would like to go through a general overview of the resources that are available for you for learning CGI or visual effects, or however you'd like to phrase it. Um, what I would like to do is start in an area where maybe you just don't have much exposure or you're not too sure, and then build through to some of the more specific paid courses as well as some free ones to start with. The idea being that you're kind of looking around and you're not sure which element you'd like to do. Within effects, I think it's good to explore everything that's available and then try and narrow it down. So for example, have a taste of everything, and then maybe you want to do modeling, maybe sculpting, maybe environmental, maybe you want to do animation or rigging. You can break a lot of those components down, and I think the more that you learn, the more you'll realize that you can't be good at all of them, and that you're going to have to specialize at some point, or you won't get that level of depth in the content that maybe you want to build or make. And this is where teams come in, and where you have a lot of people to do different things, because everyone is just particularly good at one thing, and then you try and bring all those people together. If you have no knowledge, I would start with this tutorial. This is the Blender Guru. It's the classic donut blender tutorial. The reason I think this is good is that Blender, to begin with, as a software, if you just Google Blender, it's free to download. You can play around with it, you can follow along with tutorials, and you can really begin to know the basics. So like you can see he goes through modeling and then creating different elements for the donut itself, shading and starting to bring some color into it, and then also like layout, lighting, compositing, animation, and then finally rendering it out. These are 20 to 30 minute videos each. It really does cover a lot of the foundation, and it's a good way to start. If you enjoyed that tutorial, I would move on to the sword tutorial that CG Fasttrack does. It's on YouTube, it's free. It's 2 or 3 parts. I think it's about 5-6 hours of content in total, and you're going to create this scene. I did elements of the blender to begin with, but quickly moved on to this. I spent quite a few days just doing this. It's a lot of stop-start. It's a lot of just really going over things and making sure that you know them. I found it extremely helpful. It felt like creating a scene fully for the first time. You'll model and build the sword. The rocks are imported assets. You'll go through the shading and the glowing. I haven't done it since he's updated it, and he has added electricity to this now. But yeah, it's a very good tutorial, and I think once you've done these two, you should have a general idea of which areas you enjoy more. You might enjoy animating and keying all the elements. You might enjoy just shading, or for example modeling the things, but not too much the shading. So you could say, want to learn more about this area. If you've done this and you're finding this helpful, I would say play around. Find other free content that you think is helpful, and if you are looking to spend a little bit of money to get a better education, there are definitely places I'd recommend going next. Paid versus free is difficult because free is available and it's hard to fully measure the value, and that's where this is very good. But ultimately, paying for anything in any industry, you're mostly paying to learn quicker from someone else's mistakes, and they can show you the way a lot easier so that you can do things in a shorter time frame. And then it's a case of measuring the cost versus the actual value. Most places will have a breakdown, and that by using this you can gauge, okay, am I actually going to get my value for money? So for example, if you find this very helpful, what I would recommend is going to CG Fasttrack. Go to their website. This is, as you can see, I'm not logged in. This is fully accessible without paying for anything. You can click on a video. You can see a general overview of what you're going to get, what you're going to see. CG Fasttrack is, the person who runs it has very good teaching skills. Very, very good. It's very easy to learn from him. And there's videos. He also has step-by-step screenshots of all of the stages. So if you're not sure what you need to do next, or you feel like you've missed a point, you can literally go frame by frame and learn it. The good thing about this website is, as you can see, you've got the full sword in the stone again. From here, the goes on to a much more detailed aspect. Again, you'll go through modeling, UVs, which are very important with shading, and then onto texturing and shading. There's a full course on animation and lighting, compositing, rendering in a different engine, and then breaking down model into harder scenes. Shading, by this point you're then moving on to the harder aspects of modeling. There's a full car series that's several hours long. Going on to rigging, which is the underlying for then the animation and how to do that properly. Geometry nodes, which are similar to the way that Houdini works, from my understanding, in that it's more procedural and less step by step. And there's also some other courses to do with Nuke and Substance Painter. I think this is worth everything you'd pay for it. So, like, to become a member, it's $800. What I would do is look at it for a little while. So this is $800 to begin with. However, they typically will do sales a couple times a year and knock $300-400 off it, so you can get it near half price, if not more. They also do installment plans, so if you don't want to fork out all the money at once. But if you find that you've done this tutorial and you really want to know more about the profession, then I would highly recommend doing this. This is months and if not years worth of content that you can go through. You can get very good at all these elements, again in Blender, which is a free software, and you really can build a nice foundation. At this stage, I really would take all the individual elements to a higher level and figure out exactly what you're interested in. If you're not curious about a particular area, you're going to struggle to really learn as much as you can with it. So try all of these. I have done a select few of these, but not all of them. I found that I figured out my interest fairly well. I went through the Minecraft, the Sword and Stone, the Orb series. I've done some of the Art of Lighting. I've done a chunk of the animation and compositing. I did the modelling for the sword and axe. I was quite interested at the time. Sculpting in the car series, I'm really not that interested in. Rigging, I know there's some resources to do it online, and that while I think it would be good to know at this stage, I wasn't too interested, and I'd moved on to Rebelway by the time I'd got to the geometry nodes. So this is where I would recommend. You should be able to get this for anywhere from $400 to $800, and you can do installments, and it's very much worth it. There's also these benefits. It's professional training, you get lifetime membership, they're consistently bringing out content, so once you've paid, you're still going to have access to the new content. The community Discord is very, very good. Once you've paid, you get a video to watch, and that then has the link to the Discord. You can't skip through it, it's about 2-3 minutes long, and you just have to watch it. What I found helpful is that, as he explains at the start in the video, is that this site is not designed to just teach you about Blender. He teaches the concept of art, how you should be breaking down elements, what you should be thinking about. Like, it really helps develop your mindset for projects, and it's very, very good. I would be happy to give more of an experience about this in a later video, if people would like that, and go into a lot more detail. If this is something you want to do, then there are other sites that can really go more in depth. For example, there are others like CG Spectrum, where if you go through their courses and then study interests, you've got animation, modeling, design, paint, Illustrator, FX and simulation, game design, compositing. There are also other ones like Vortex School. At Vortex School, I've not done any of their content. I believe it's much more game design as opposed to VFX. And whereas CG Spectrum seems to be where's it gone? CG Spectrum seems to be covering a few different areas. With Vortex School and CG Spectrum, the main thing is the price. So you can see here how a 3-month course is $3,333, or you can do one-to-ones. Typically they do small classes, there might be 4 or 5 of you, or you can pay a bit more and pretty much get one-to-one tuition. It's the same for their 9-month courses. They have the same sort of layout, obviously at a higher cost, because it's a longer course. I believe they said they have a fairly high admission career success rate, which is great, and like you can go through the breakdown. You can see exactly what you're going to learn week by week. Again, I'm not logged in anywhere. This is all free to search. So you're going to see exactly what you're going to get. My only issue with this is that it's a lot of money, and if you're not 100%, then you don't want to get halfway through and think this is it for me, and next thing you know, you've paid near 15 grand for something that you don't know you want to do. So I would highly recommend, if you're 18, 19 and you're set on wanting to do one of these courses, excuse me, or if you just want to do the short course, or if they have career advisors, you can discuss career tracks, so you really can use their site to gain as much information as possible. But if you're 18, 19, it's the equivalent of a year in university, and it might get you exactly what you want. That's absolutely great. For me, it just didn't really seem to be exactly what I wanted to do. If you were really big on wanting to go into game design, Vortex School seems great. They have a fairly good success rate. You can see the content that's being produced. You can hear from other students. You can chat to the mentors. You can see where people are getting jobs, and obviously a lot of these are very big companies. And it's a 30-week program. So if it's a year in university equivalent and you can get to exactly where you want and then start as a junior in a game company, then great, you've achieved what you wanted to. But my main thing before you spend this level of money is obviously making sure that this is exactly what you want to do. The joy of courses like CG is that it's a lot lower price. You get a lot of content, so if you aren't sure, then you can play around you're not losing as much. You're not sinking thousands of dollars. But there are schools that will do upwards of a year plus program to try and get you to where you want to be. And then we move on to essentially Houdini, which is the software that I'm currently learning to use, and a lot of the effects you see will come from here. So as you can see, you can do fire and smoke and pyro. It does very good rendering of water, particles, does destruction elements, solid full body, clothes, and grain, which is like sand, etc. There's crowd elements and a lot of imports you can do too. I think Houdini has a free trial if it's very short, or it's free if it's non-commercial. I'm not 100%. They do have a price breakdown, so you can see exactly how much it costs and what you're going to get. There are tutorials for Houdini online on YouTube. It's a very, very steep learning curve. Like even Rebelway's free content, which I think is down at the bottom. Yeah, even their free content with some of like the ground impact. I tried this before I started any courses, and I found it quite difficult to follow along. Houdini gets very in-depth very fast, and I feel if you're not having someone show you how to use it, it's going to take you a long time, like several years to learn. Whereas the whole point of courses is that you are paying for someone's knowledge and an accelerated learning rate, and that's where the value comes in. I primarily am learning from these. These are people who are industry leading. They're working currently in the field. If you go through the courses, I have done the basic compositing course and the intro to Houdini. I've moved on to the Magic FX, and then very recently I'll be starting the Advanced Magic, which is a Marvel FX artist, which shows the high level of skill that they'll be doing. These courses typically are 8 to 12 weeks long. If I just click on one of the beginner courses, so say the fundamentals, you get a trailer, average amount of training time. You can see exactly who's doing it and what they've been doing. You can see a full course breakdown of exactly what's going to happen. This one doesn't have any pictures. If I go to a different one that's been out for a while, I believe the City Creation has it. Then yeah, you can see pictures as you go along of what you're going to do, how you're going to build it, and how it's going to build up. The main reason I'm doing these is because I think it's going to create exactly what I wanted to do. If I want to do, and the other main thing positive is that there's consistently new people joining and new courses coming out. I've been doing courses since last August, and there have been at least I think 3 to 5 new courses out in that time frame. So if you're worried that you're going to run out of content, that's not going to be an issue. So there's consistently more things to do. Most of the courses, if we go down to price, I think they cost anywhere from about $600 to $800. Yeah, so this is $700, or you can do 2 payments. I think you can do financing through PayPal as well, but ultimately you're looking at about $700 per course, 8 to 12 weeks. I've yet to do a course that I didn't feel I got value for money from, and I think this is a very, very good site. I highly recommend, if you're going to learn Houdini, just do the fundamentals and the intro. It'll take you a couple months, but you will learn exactly what you need to have a very good foundation in Houdini, and then from there this is where you can explore interests. So for example, after I've done the magic course, I'm most likely going to go on to maybe the fantasy or the destruction course. There's explosion, the water I'd like to do at some point, and maybe environments and city creation. If I was doing a shot of, say, like in Naruto with the Leaf Village, I know that I can learn my environments and city creation through here, and then if I wanted to destroy that like Pain does, then you've got this. And I think this is where these sites are helpful, is they have the courses to tailor to your interests. So as things change over time, you can specifically do this, and as you become professional, you can get to the point where your company or employer might pay for a certain level of education, and this is where this comes in as well. And so you can continually build your skills, and they really do go from beginning to advanced, going into much more deeper content, and then there's some additional content. The other thing with Rebelway is if they have a VFX job board as well. So this is updated once or twice a month, usually I think 2, maybe 3 times in a good month, depending on the jobs that are going. You can see different jobs going, where they are, who they're with, and like if you want to follow that through and view a job, here it is on LinkedIn. Some of them do more specific to the company, like I think this one's Disney. Then this is no longer available, it's been posted. But you can go from knowing nothing to learning to then getting a job all through Rebelway. And they have advisors you can do meetings with if you wish to ask them some questions or know more, and I think it's a very healthy environment for you to go from knowing nothing to then becoming a professional. They do have some courses with Unreal if you were looking more for game design. So for example, if you weren't sure about this and you wanted to learn more about Unreal, then you can do the basic Unreal intro course. And then they have the specialized effects for games. So here, for example, you can learn basic sword slashing, bombs, directional, phase beam, and then portals and polishing things off. So again, you can really look into things before you commit any money. And yeah, I think that's a great site. These are the main areas that I know for learning visual effects or game design. I know there's other courses like Intro to Unity or Intro to Unreal, which is great. But these are the main ones that I've either done or have been very aware of. So if you have any questions, please comment below. I'll happily respond to pretty much as many comments as I can, and try and give as much insight as possible. If you're enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe. It really does help grow the channel. And like I said, the more people subscribe, the more time I can spend on this and try and provide as much insight as possible and make things as easy as possible for you. But yeah, I hope you have a great day. Thank you.